Getting new customers in today's competitive landscape is a bit tricky. While your new customers are important, your current customers hold an important aspect in breaking through the marketing dark funnel. In this video, we'll explore the founder's key to winning customer trust. At Mindbowser, we have built a journey on trust, transparency, and customer first approach. In this video, we will explore the founder's key to winning customer trust. At Mindbowser, we have built a journey on trust, transparency, and customer first approach. We are excited to share our valuable insights and stories from that experience. You'll hear from our founder of Mindbowser, Ayush Jain, on driving digital transformation. Pravin Uttarwar, our CTO, will help you on solving challenges with innovation, while Arun Bhadole, our VP of Engineering, will help you on building reliable systems. So, guys, pull your socks up and get ready for this insightful video.
Pune chapter basically organize different talks, especially around how we can, share learnings not only from us but also we do host a lot of external guests as well. And primarily the aim is to learn from each other, connect with each other, make friends, give to each other. So while we'll do much of the talking today as speakers, but do make sure that you also connect amongst each other as well, because you never know what you're seeking is beside you. So make friends, and also we'll add you to the community group post event. So so we'll connect you with all other people as well. We have I think 500 to 600 people community already. So we'll add you there as well, where you can also get more updates on upcoming events, as well as you will also be able to network with other people, which means that if any specific question or anything that you want to connect further on with like-minded people or ask for help, you can always. Apart from that, there is this new community also we have started called the Orbital Shift, which is all around like how we can help businesses get to the next orbit. And this is more of Mindbowser community, I would say. Started, conceptualized just 3 months back. And what we are trying to do here is more focused on learnings that are more personal to us as I'd say IT services specific, where we are working with again fellow entrepreneurs on specific IT services lessons. And this talk is somehow related to both these communities, so it's like promoted in both the communities. So you may be coming from either or, and I'd say you'll get takeaways for even IT services, but I believe most of the things can be applied to any other business or anything that you're doing as well. Pravin and Arun will be your host today. Personally, my quick introduction. So and Pravin, we both started the company Mindbowser, and it's been a journey of more than 10 years now. And the whole concept of starting this community was to be able to share the lessons that we learned along the way. And I often joke internally that I've invested 5 to 10 crores in this education. Every year I'm taking courses by making bad decisions and then learning from them. So that's all a tuition fees that I'm paying. And the idea was that like to this community, we want to basically be able to share those lessons so that you don't have to pay that hefty tuition fee that I already paid. So I and Pravin and Arun, who is our VP of Engineering, and for today's topic, much of the things that we are doing to be able to solve customer trust issues, and how we are able to build ourselves as a trustworthy company. We worked upon it diligently. So much of the things have been around what Arun and his team did, and that's why he will take over to go deeper into it. But starting the topic, basically why this topic is important. So, like I was mentioning, I think Sandeep mentioned that we had this sales session, and a couple of you were already there in the last session. So we were learning about how you do sales, or how you get in front of your customers in the right way, and how they discover you and so on. But to be honest, much of the sales for us today does not happen outbound, but it all happens through inbound and people who would reach out to us, or people who would discover us, or our customers would provide reference. And this session is more around that, like how do we build a system around being able to get the most out of our existing customers rather than searching new customers. And why this becomes important in today's scenario is because getting new customers is harder and harder. Like in fact, a common joke in IT services today, I believe everybody would agree, is that we are kind of in the most difficult industry. It's not at all any more a shiny luxury industry, but it is a pretty struggling business, to be honest. It's really hard, especially for new companies or growing companies to be able to land with new accounts. So getting new customers is hard, and like as a IT services company, we are constantly getting tested by our customers or by potential customers that are we really the team, or are we really good as much as we say. I'll share with you a story that happened, in fact, just last week, and I thought this timing is so perfect about when this incident happened. That I was speaking with one potential customer, who's a doctor based in New York, just to give you a shape to it. So let's say Dr. A, and he was looking at whether he should build his own EHR, or he should continue what he has and just bring us to improve that EHR. Of course, for us, it's better business that we get to build the complete EHR rather than tinkling here and there on his EHR. So we discussed, we gave him the advice that both things are possible. We gave him both pros and cons. And then we also told him that we worked with another doctor, say Dr. B, who is based in San Francisco, and he can have a call with him, also discuss with him. So I connected both of them, and because we have a very good relation with Dr. B, he kind of asked my VP of delivery, who was in San Francisco only at that time. So he said that, hey, I have this call with Dr. A, you tell me what to tell. So what do you think his answer should be? How many of you, like, any suggestions? What do you think? If you are the VP of delivery, what should be your answer? Any suggestions? Anybody? What comes to your mind? Like option A, you would say maybe that take your think what you think is the best. Option B could be, hey, try to incline more towards, let's say, building new, because that is good. So what do you think? How many people would say A is a better option? Okay, and how many people think B is the better option? And how many people did not understand that story? I can tell because I have very low show of hands. So again, so one would be that should this person advise that give the neutral advice, or should this person advise, who is my team member, that go with this option because this is better for her? So how many would say neutral advice? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And how many people say B, that tell him that give this option because this is good for her? 1. Okay. And how many say no answer? Okay. Okay. So it's okay. Like keep your cards closed is also okay. Let's go with the flow. But my VP of delivery actually, ended up with option A, which is he told him that you tell what you think is the best. You don't need to give any extra, inclination towards anything or so on. But the best part, what I want to share is that the answer that my customer, Dr. B, told back, which was that, hey, I knew, but I wanted to test your integrity. So what I was coming to the point is that our integrity as a business gets tested every day, everywhere. So it's not just a moment here and there, but you never know. And sometimes it's process and tech, which Arun will cover. But also when we talk about customer trust, it has a lot to do with people and culture as well. So it's a whole cycle. Just like when you go to a restaurant, you never know what really attracts you. It's a culmination of a lot of factors, like why you choose this restaurant and not that restaurant is not just like food, but your whole experience, which could be a number of things. So coming back, so this is really important because in today's world, getting new customers is harder than ever, and customers are always testing us. They always have a choice to move away. And in IT services, especially, the days are long gone when we had like large deals of multiple years and no check-ins and just put people and keep making money. That's why I was mentioning that we are not in a very good industry that way. Now you have to work hard. The customer wants you to be on the toes. So that's one reason why this becomes important. Second is that current accounts, which your current customers, are the only way that you can go beyond the dark marketing funnel. So again, it's popularly and famously established that 90% or even 99% of the money you put in your marketing goes waste, and you never know which one. So how much money and effort you put into your marketing, you are always not having the foolproof information, I would say, that which people are really coming to the website. If you know, okay, these many people, Google console may not give you all the answers, like which were these people, then you have to integrate another third party that identifies people. But when you reach out to them, they would say, hey, I never visited your website. And, like if you have done some account-based marketing, you would understand the pain. You never know eventually, like, probably still you have like an iceberg situation. So some things you know, but some things you still have to figure out. But when you are working with your customers, that creates a lot of predictable advantage because you know what's really happening. You can grow them. Second, any customer that is coming through references, etc. Also, you are completely knowing all the information. Like most of the time, if you are in good touch with your customer, your customer will educate you on that also. That hey, I'm connecting with this guy. This is his pay. This is his budget. This is what he wants. This is where he got burned. So you can plan better, and that means that conversion goes like very high compared to any of the other channels. Then the third thing is that we have this problem in most companies, if not all, that most metrics and quotas are geared towards bringing new customers and new business. In fact, as humans, I think we all feel more excited about new rather than old. So this session is also more of a reminder that how much exists already with the things we're doing, rather than like digging the well and finding out water, so or finding out oil, whatever. But the idea is that how much more we can do with the accounts that we already have and how we can make the most of it. So that was the why of it. I just wanted to share, like when we started working on solving this over, I'd say, past couple of years, slowly and gradually, and paid that 2-3 crore tuition fees which I was mentioning. What were our results is, one, we were able to achieve our NPS score consistently over 90. So, in IT services, I believe it's a very good score to be able to, get pretty much like all of our customers very happy with us and getting them to a point where they are ready to refer to us. In last 12 months, most of our sales, like I was mentioning, was through references and was through customers that we already have. So in the last 12 months, like 3 million plus sales just happened with existing customers. So, and the best part, like I said, it's all predictable as compared to the unpredictable way of figuring out different ways and reaching out to people and so on. And because this is so predictable, it is also more like a strong foundation that puts us better in the unforeseen times that otherwise a business has to suffer through, that, like whether today I have project but tomorrow will it exist or not, or whether today I have demand but today it would exist or not. So, by solving this equation, we are able to say that we got 3 million and we believe that 3 million is kind of, very much predictable for next year also. So that allows us to make better decisions for the overall running of this. So now my third point, and this would be my last slide before people better than me can take over, is we can always do it, but why a system is required is because eventually a business can only be run on a more scalable and replicable strategy. Like I was giving you example of this incident earlier between how Dr. B tested us by asking a question to which the answer he already knew, but he wanted to test us. So it all comes down to like having a system, which again I would say is a combination of software, strategy, and also culture. Like happy when I heard this, because then I knew that my VP of delivery is on the same page or gave the same answer that I would have. And that's what as a company you want, like that eventually whatever strategy you are making is well executed by your team. Your team can really follow it. So one of the hard tasks for us was not really building the software, but really creating it in a way that it is more like a daily engine, part of the daily workflow. So that was the real struggle, just to share with you, and that's what we tried to solve. Like we should not end up creating another software or another thing or another, let's say, 20% extra thing that you have to do to be able to work on your customer, but how you can do it in a way that is something you were already doing, but probably in a better, more organized way. So more scalable and replicable. The other thing is, again, founders' time, which I believe most of you as founders would agree that, again, we often get blindsided by, again, prioritizing amongst different fires that are happening, and we would end up dousing fires of accounts that are troublesome, or let's say dousing fire to, let's say, go into market for closing new accounts. What I've seen personally, and I spoke with other founders as well, what I've seen common is that existing accounts typically end up going low on priority for us, because just there are so many fires to do. So we end up like, okay, I'll do this, I'll set a process, I'll hire people, I'll do sales, I'll do this. But we many times end up thinking that, okay, this account is closed, now I've given it to a person, let's say a delivery person or a tech team, now they will take care, and now I've done the introduction, and things would happen. So again, a system would help. Again, you cannot find out more hours to it, but again, a system can help, to be able to give you a better control on the overall experience for your customers. And thirdly, like again, as sales organizations, we tend to believe, just like a restaurant, that I'll create good food and people will come. So as sales organizations, we end up thinking that we'll just do good experience service, and then these references or more work would come, or cross-selling would happen, or upselling would happen. But that's not the case. So just to elaborate back on that restaurant experience, so there's one restaurant that makes very good food, but I believe isn't that every other restaurant also does that. So what I mean to say is that, sitting here, we have at least 500 restaurants, pretty much like a services business around us. But we tend to get kind of a pull from some restaurants, for some we do not. Now someone else gets a pull from some other restaurant. So every restaurant is eventually serving food and cooking food and so on. But, why do we get that pull from certain restaurants? So that is the whole idea. Similarly, like in IT services, doing the work is just one part of the whole equation. It also has to do with other experiences, like if I were to spill the beans on one of the things I will talk about, could be as small as sending the invoice. Like even that experience can be made better, rather than, sending invoices, which then customers to ask that, okay, did we really did this much work? Hey, I did not know this person was there, or why I have such a big bill. So, being able to take care of such experiences become very important in the whole life cycle of a customer. And that's why I say that, it's not just that we do good work and people would come, but there are a lot of other things that happen. In fact, I had this graph from Gartner, which showed that impact of seller actions on likelihood of growing account, like how much the growth of account can happen. And delivering product and services is the first point, which does not have any significant impact on upselling. Aggressive selling also does not have. Confidence in the account team, which includes like increased confidence of customer in the account team by having, let's say, broader account team map. So that is one point. And customer improvement overall, which includes like provided customer with unique critical perspective that improve their business as a whole, or outlined the ROI for them. So, we all may be having ROI that, okay, I'll put in this, I'll save your money and so on. And then we gave the team to our devs to do the work. But how about, having a consistent communication around the ROI that is, getting done. Probably you're already doing it, like generating it, but not communicating it. So, things like that could create a lot of difference in being able to grow existing customers, create the trust. Because anyways, you are doing those things, but how do you really orchestrate it? So that's the whole idea about this talk. And one last video I wanted to show you. Like you'll recognize it. But a system is important because without the system, this is what happens. Volume. How many of you recognize this? Everybody? We've all seen this movie, and I think like most of you would get the gist right away from the picture itself. Yeah, sales team or project team, whichever way. So the idea is that again, while everybody can get motivated that we'll do good for the customer, it still requires a direction, a plan, and a holistic process to it. So I'll give the reins to Arun to continue and talk more about the thing.
Yeah, I think before Arun starts, I just want to add a couple of things. So before Arun starts, so I had few things that I want to just mention. So as Ayush just pointed out, the startup grind is the global community, right? And our main goal is to give back to the society, and that is one of the things that we'll try today. Of course, there are other entrepreneurs, and we'll make sure we also want to learn from them as well, because these are the learnings from us. The other people and other founders who did different types of projects or different types of customers they had, right? So would love to connect and learn from them. But there are three things, four things I would say we will be mostly focusing on. What we tried and that work is everything whatever Arun is going to present is around four things: people, process, nowadays AI, that also we're trying, and reusable things, right, or assets we call it. So all these things are around this four, right? And these are the four pillars what we try to address, as well as whatever I come across as a CTO, whatever problems we come across from the customers or even internally from the employees, we try to sort it out at the root level, right? So that can be a scalable strategy that we found work. And yeah, I mean, of course, these things, as Aish mentioned, last 3-4 years, we're trying to do certain things. There are different direction we tried, and we came to some kind of a conclusion, and we did kind of a solution which we built, and it is used regularly in our processes. Arun will cover that. Yeah, maybe I'll jump in as and when required, but yeah, 41.
Yeah, hello everyone. Good morning. Yeah, so first of all, let me introduce myself. So I'm working as a VP engineering, but I want to give background on my what is my background. So basically, I started as a developer, and then I became a lead and pushed into the PM process and then management side, and then this process thing, right? So the experience I have, it is mostly from the developer side. So the processes we have built, it is obviously like business side, like the customer experience. But we also consider what is the team like, what development team thinks like, and all those things. Right? So me and my like one more like VP delivery, he is from the business side. So the kind of process we have built, it consider both of the side, like customer and like the technical team, and it has been in a very good sync, which I'll going to show you, right? Yeah, so I'll start with okay. So we call it like customer experience process. we very much agree on this. Like, these are the main phases of any project development. Right. And again, before we start deep into this, so again, if I make any fumble or anything, please bear with me because I have put whole night making this presentation. So yeah, bear with me. Thank you. So yeah, first we started the onboarding. Obviously, like, we have to start somewhere. So that's the point we have been planning to do. So we'll go deep into this, what we have learned, what challenges we had, and all, what kind of solution we have built in. So first, starting with the onboarding, like initiation, as we call it, right? So first, what kind of challenges we had? So before I start open my thing, if I want to ask, like, what kind of challenge have you faced during these phases? Anyone want to go?
So mostly, manual onboarding is the, I think, toughest part. What everyone over here will agree with me. Execution is kind of easier because I come also from the tech background, but paisa aana client ko lana is the first thing. So from which geography to start with, which domain. Like, now I know you started with the healthcare, but at our level, so when we think at it as a challenge, I think, should we target US? So in US, which state, then which vertical? There are like horizontal and verticals. So healthcare, yeah, insurance, and there are 100 others. So I think mostly that's my problem.
Anyone else? Yeah.
I think when you onboard a customer, I think they come with a certain expectation, and you as a developer have some expectation. So there's always a mismatch. So coming onto the same page is important.
Yes. So yeah, I think again we are very much in agreement. Like we are on the same page. So very first thing that is like unclear client vision, right? Understanding requirement is one thing, but understanding the vision is like a different, right? You can understand what you are supposed to develop, but why you are developing, that's a different thing. So that was the very first challenge we had. Second was like role visibility. So again, there is you mentioned, so there is always a gap between understanding who are my developers or who are my clients for a developer. So that gap also we have seen. As a developer again, as I mentioned, I was not very much aware who are my clients, why I'm building this particular thing, for whom I'm building. And again, at the other side, clients are also like this. Who are they? Like, what are their skill sets? Then very important again, like lack of process clarity. This is also a very big issue we have seen. Client doesn't understand what kind of process they're going to follow. As a team, if we have like experienced teams, they know what process we have to follow. But mostly, for every new client, everything is new for them. So they need to understand what kind of process we are supposed to follow, what kind of deadlines and everything would be there. So that is also again a big challenge. And again, one more very important is having this gap in accessing the accounts and what are resources required, right? Okay. Anything else you are able to think of? Again, I can see so many experienced people are here. Because I think these are the major challenges. There could be many, but these I think are very crucial challenges you face. Okay, so let's start with what kind of solution or what we have done in our experience. Okay. So first, unclear time. So what we started doing is we start apart from asking the documents. I think everybody shares the PID now in the age of AI. It is easy to create doc and all those things. But we also started asking to prepare a video which can they can show their business, they can explain what they are aiming for. So that really helps. Right. And again, at the other side, for team also it helps. They are seeing their customer talking about their product, so they understand the deeper level of why they understand why.
Yeah. So just to add to that, right? So one of the challenge we as a company or anybody I believe when you guys are working with the technology team is that like developer don't understand right what they're working on most of the time. I mean, of course they know what to do in terms of technology, but what problem they're solving. In our case, like majority of times is healthcare. But healthcare maybe if you're doing any product, or if you're solving any use case, what exactly impact it is creating on whether it's a patient, provider, or a clinician or a staff, right? So they need to understand, okay, this is the problem I'm solving, and it is helping doctors or a provider to save their time, for example. Let's say even a doctor in US saves 10 minutes of their time per patient. It's a huge savings because there is already a lot of burden on them, right? So this is the thing that we tried recently, that every client we're asking them to share their vision in onboarding as well as through the video that what pain points they're solving, and it is just a one small thing we just added, and it now developers or engineers are trying to connect that. Okay, whenever they're doing something, they're coming up with some suggestions as well. So this is again this is a small thing.
Correct. So this is one of the ideas we have, and then again this rule. So again, I think everybody does this. So we tell who are the what is the team structure and all. But apart from this, we also share their profile in detail and what kind of skill sets they have. So we have this portal where everything is gathered in one page view. You can see what are the resources, what are their skill set, experience, and all. And apart from this, we also do that kickoff, obviously that video call, and then they introduce each other. So that also helps. In fact, at the other side, at the development side, it helps a lot because in our case, what we do, there is no hierarchy when you are connecting with the clients. If you are part of a project, if you're a team member of the project, you are connecting with the client any day. You have that access. We don't have that only team is talking with the client and then they are getting the requirement and filtering to the. So there also we had a lot of gaps there, we try to improve. So it has helped in many ways. Sometime maybe team is not that technical, but if a technical person is into the meeting, they can help in many ways. They can suggest feasible technical ideas also. So that we are able to solve. Process again, as I mentioned, so this again we try to clear what we do, right? Sometimes they have their own ideas as well, they come up with their own tools and all. So we see if we are able to use their own ideas or not, but mostly we have our own very well structured things, so we try to follow that one. But we are flexible. And again, this is the again came from our experience. Sometimes clients are not aware how to escalate or where to escalate. What should I do when there is a problem, right? So again, we started doing this escalation matrix. So then there are multiple, you can see the steps are there.
Yeah, just giving them a confidence and trust that okay, there are people. If something goes wrong, there are people who can help me out, right? So it's just adding in their subconscious mind.
In fact, in many customers, I learned from one of the customers only. They ask in writing what I should do when there is let's say if I'm working as a PM, if something broke in the system, so what should I do? So he actually wrote it down. First, I'll call him WhatsApp. If you don't pick up in 30 minutes or a half an hour, I'll do something else. I'll maybe escalate to private or something like that. So very low level detailing we had done with that client. So that also helped us learning things like how we should do it. So proactively started doing it. And this again access and resource readiness. So again, whenever we are starting any project, we need some accounts and all, right? So again, I'm sure many of you have experienced this. Sometimes we miss getting all those, all those requirements and all. And what happens is kind of delays the starting of the development or anything, right? Example, there is you may need a Firebase account or Google Play account, or depending on the project, AWS credential are very common. Apple developer account. Sometimes client doesn't know how to create an Apple account, right? So there are lots of information required, the number and all those things. So that proactively we are sharing all these things with how to create the accounts. We have all this on our portal, how to create all this. So we are helping there as well. One more very good example, I think, if you are integrating with the hardware, you're working on an IoT product, right? So in that case, you need an actual hardware, right? So most of the time you have to switch, you have to ship it from the US or any country, from the foreign land, right? That also takes time. So proactively we tell them, okay, we need these devices, some of this device, and you have to ship it in advance. So those kind of preparation we do it, and again, going in further detail, we also tell what to put in invoice, what kind of deal you should put in, so it does not stuck in customer somewhere, right? So these kind of detail. again, these are all from planning.
Yeah. So just to add, right, what Arun mentioned, just to give an Apple developer account example, right? So in past we were working like a SBI bank. Okay, we're telling something, the customer coming back telling, okay, I want to fill there. Okay, I see two options: personal, business account. What to do? It was taking too much time, and then customer was frustrated. So that's again the experience part. So then we automated that thing. Whenever we say, okay, add a to-do list under customer name, Apple developer account, it has detailed steps. Okay, this you have to do. You need a DUNS number in advance. You need to choose as a business account, other app will get rejected and whatnot. Right. Same goes with the custom. What he mentioned, a small thing. Tell him that to put a zero number, zero amount in the invoice, and tell that it is a test device. Then the customer will not keep it with them, right? Otherwise, it will be again another 2-week process. Small things again we learn and we think like it made a good amount of impact because you are reducing the work of the customer. That is the important part.
And again, in case of like device shipping, we had faced this. Device stuck for like 2 months in India only, but we're not able to get it, and that's why everything got delayed. So that's it. Okay. So yeah, these are challenges onboarding and. How many do you think that you are? Yeah.
So I have a question. So this video thing was really interesting. So I have two questions actually.
Sure.
So what all points you think a customer should mention in that particular first video? That is my first question. And second question is, so we usually have the first introduction call with our senior members with the client, where client explains the project and why they want to do this and everything. So what is the difference or what all advantages are there when you ask a client for one spot video over this introductory call?
So first is there are multifold actually advantages. So first is actually the video can be seen by anyone at any point of time, right? So not only senior members but whole team knows, right, about the vision and the pain point. Second, you add new members all the time in the team. The member gets replaced or you are scaling the team. And again, client should not be taking with that same team again, right? And third important thing from marketing perspective, it helps us in creating case studies better, right? So this is again like kind of a closure side of things, but yeah, this again helps in a long run.
Just to share, it has also happened that when we ask, what's your vision, our customers would say, okay, you are the first team that asked for my vision. So that is what the whole experience is about, right? Like I was mentioning again, I go back to my restaurant analogy, like small things. It's not that you were not doing that, but by doing that explicitly, people then, your customer would start seeing you in a different light, and they are like thinking really, oh, you are aligning with my vision. That means you are really thinking through. So that's the idea. And sometimes they also share low level details. For example, one of the clients we were creating a telemedicine application. So he especially asked us that I want to make sure that anyone, especially old people, should be able to use it. So make sure that you are using the font size are bigger and everything is good enough to see visible for the old people as well. Again, those details can come later, but from the beginning only we had this idea. Okay, now we have to think in that direction, So yeah. Okay. So actually, I was asking how many of you think that these are the actual problem you also had in onboarding, or any other you had, or anyone?
Yeah, even would love to hear how you guys solve it.
Yes.
Two-way. We should do it collaborative way as well.
Because again, we are here to learn only. These are our experience. We want to learn what you are doing and all, right? Okay, we can keep discussing. Yeah. So after the onboarding, so again the next is planning. So which is actually sprint zero. And again, the sprint zero is, I think, very important. It's like the sprint zero, but it's actually sprint zero, I would say. Again, anyone want to guess what kind of challenges you had during this phase? Tech stack, okay. Can you elaborate?
So, few of time I understood that client is coming with some pre-thought technology stack. So, if the Python is the new thing, so and they are not that technology side, then they come, or we want maybe our cloud on AWS only, not Google or Azure only, not AWS only. So, I think there are two type of clients where one understands why we are such. If I say we go with AWS, why go with AWS? Why not Azure or Google? So to explain this thing, I think it takes time. I mean, that's what I feel.
So what did you try?
So in this case, we explained to our the one which we had a discussion because they had some technological understanding. So if you
so maybe you're trying to imply what मुझे जो आता है मैं वैसा I'll try.
I'll say कि these are the pros and cons. If you go with Google, there are few services which are not available. So you have to pay extra so that we can build those services. But if you go with AWS, there are predefined services available. So
I think those kind of analysis help, right? Again, if you have like you already mentioned, so you can just put both the options together and everything. Yeah. Maybe Pravin can also mention this.
So I have one question from the previous slide.
Sure.
When you're onboarding, okay, client explains his vision and stuff.
Sure.
There are obviously some level of details which are missed out. Okay?
Correct.
And those details can come out in probably the start sprint or even as the project goes along. And that is where the delays start.
Correct.
Right? So how do you take care of those challenges at the beginning? How do you try to relate to the details before you start so that, and then how do you deal with changes that come and what are the percentages,
correct.
So to say, adjust?
So yeah, good question. We're going to cover the same as well.
Yeah. So just to add, right? So the kickoff or onboarding was again is after the customer is closed. Okay. And in our case, if it's a startup and they came up with the idea, then we make sure before we start the development, we start the design sprint. We call it design sprint. It's a Google's methodology. We do kind of a 4 to 6 week, like thorough research as well as very close collaboration with the customer and spec out those things. Okay, so we convert that. In other cases where the customer has their own details and there might be a gaps, so the sprint zero comes into the picture. So that's where I think we start the planning more detailed. And this is almost kind of a 2 week process we do. Arun will call it.
Okay. So anyone want to contact like you already mentioned? Anyone else?
Anyone else like does sprint zero kind of a thing in their company?
Not sprint zero, but there is one challenge that if we are building something from scratch in the framework, from a developer perspective or from a technical side perspective, everything should be perfect. And then it will take some time, and client expects to deliver something like as soon as possible. That is the first sprint or the second sprint. So what we have come up with a solution is that like we are now having a 3 week or like a 2 sprint 4 week development where we are building the core part of the framework as a deliverable itself. Kind of not an MVP but kind of something that which runs and client is happy to have that. Okay, now I have something that is already built and now further features will be added to it in further sprint. So that was good for our clients so that they are getting something in like first 2-3 sprints, and developers are also happy that they are delivering. Otherwise, like being perfect and delivering everything perfect takes time, like 2-3 months at least or more. So that was the challenge.
It's just a demoable, right? Not production ready.
Not production ready, but at least something that
You are agile.
Yeah, we are following agile.
So an agile like that's how it should be. So very first like lack of sprint delivery schedule, right? So for internally, like obviously for client, they want to understand like what are the deliverables, what are the schedules, especially what are the payment schedules and all, right? But internally also, like we need to have a lot of discussion. That's why sprint zero is like mostly internally. Like we do a lot of things there. So first, obviously, like we need to understand what are the requirement and what would be the deliverables and all. Then again, this is again very important point. Like we have to be very transparent about what could be the technical and financial impacts, right? Let's get more in next slides. Risk assessment gap. So you are again this gentleman was mentioning about how do we do risk assessment. So that also we do. Then again, you have to make sure, like you mentioned, that you have to be speed, quality, and compliant as well, like sometimes, right? So that also. So these are the major challenges we see and how we have solved this in our way. So So again, why we're discussing, again, there are a lot of things, like, but when we understood the requirement, everything is like, we saw the vision and everything, right? So internally, all set together, and we do very detailed acceptance criteria. In fact, for that also, we have created our own AI tool, which can, like from screenshots of your wireframes and all, it can generate a very, you can see the same, like, it generate this detailed acceptance criteria. So it helps everyone to understand what exactly they're supposed to do, right? Again, you were mentioning that they need to understand what exactly they're supposed to deliver, right, as a developer. Again, being a developer, I understand that challenge there. You cannot just say you have to develop particular, let's say, login page. You have to put low-level details. Maybe experienced developer can understand with my experience, I can do this. These are required, but you don't have that luxury all the time, right? So you have to make it foolproof basically. Any developer, any experienced developer can come in and they should have the chance. Right? So this is how we have been able to solve. First we do a detailed discussion what to the lower level we need to do, right? Then again, this is a very unique thing. I don't know how many of you guys do this. So basically what we do is, so once everything is discussed, we expect that team has understand everything. We do a Q&A as well, like all the team member. We try to assess how much they will be able to answer by doing Q&A. But after then, we ask them to do their own estimate, right? So they come up with this, like, this will be a story, and then we try to break it down as low as they can do it, right? By low means if any task taking more than 2 hours, break it further. So you can see for one story only we have like these many tasks. Right. And this is how it is very low. And it helps in many ways, like sprints and with the dates and everything, right? And apart from this, we also prepare the payment plan, on how many sprints we need to have a payment invoice raised and all those things. Timelines, again, they're on the same. We prepare it throughout the year, or whatever the duration of the project is, what we are going to do and how. So that is on the this. Then again, this transparent technical financial.
So maybe I'll speak on that. So basically, again, like we had many issues in the past where the customer changed their VP, changed their CTO, and they came to us saying, okay, why use this architecture, right? Or maybe customer told after going live or after a year that, okay, my AWS bill is blown up right now, and you never told me about it. At the start of the project planning itself, we give customer multiple options, right? So how you want to go? You want to go for the MVP for X number of users, and you are open to change the architecture later, then we have this plan. If you want to go scalable architecture from day zero, like Kubernetes and whatnot, then you have this type of architecture. We'll do this much time it will take, and this will going to be the cost for the cloud, right? Hold that transparency helps in the long run because then there are no surprises. Again, surprises is the something that customer don't learn. That's where the trust has been lost most of the time. And this also helps them to plan their finances in well in advance. So we also give comparison study. Okay, this how much resources, what services we're using, how much their monthly cost, and then they can themselves decide, right? And which one? And of course, we educate them if they are non-technical, but their CTO also can like do good amount of good type of discussion that can be they can do with our engineering team.
So this is basically again from a only like when we propose the architecture, we also given cost estimation, how much it would be cost when we are in non-prod environment and how much when it goes on production. So that also we put in advance only.
And this is all template driven, just like put the numbers, put the traffic, and it auto generates. It doesn't like it just needs to be built one time, but automatically it helps everyone later.
Yes. Then the risk assessment again. Like someone asked a question. So basically, we use this red box system, right? So while we are doing the planning, we ask developers only that what are the features or any element that you feel these could be difficult for you, right? Or complex you have done it before, or you don't experience all of it. So we ask them to list out everything here, right? So we just divide whether it's like a risk or an like we will do something like how much impact would have. We list out everything. I'll explain how we solve this, but this is how we do in a very initial phase. So we know in advance these are the possible risks and how to tackle. We'll discuss it, right? Then again, we were discussing that everyone expects that everything should be with the speed and quality and
in parallel, you should make sure that compliance are there, right? For that also we have tried our own ways, like in fact we have built our own solution. Let's say for example, what takes time, right? So let's say we are starting a project, creating a project itself takes time. Let's say, like you are starting a, let's say, creating a project banana, so it will take some time.
So maybe I have a question to people who do this on regular basis, right? So tell me, like, throughout your company, does your every project of yours follows the same guidelines, same structure, same architecture? How many of you do that? How many of your developers are? How many of projects of the same consistency?
The testing projects are of same consistency because it requires a common testing framework and that can be applicable to other any client as well.
Okay.
But for the development projects, everything is different because technology set is different and the architecture requirements are different. So everything is unique in development.
Okay. Yeah. So again, that is on the project side of things, right? So we again had few years back. This was the challenge, right? For me as a CTO, like when I'm replacing a developer, the challenge was the onboarding side. So a customer is telling me, guys, like this is your developer, and you're taking 2 to 4 weeks to just for KT, right? It is not acceptable, and you can't charge for me, right? If you're not charging, again, it's a loss for us. So how we solved? We from our leadership team, tech leads, has actually created boilerplates for all the type of technologies, right? And then we automated. Not only that, but then we made sure again every project follows. How in project onboarding itself, we have an automation tool where you just put the details about the project, what.
I had like we developed something, we did a demo, and then when they tried to run their end, it did not work for some reason, and they said कि तुम लोग का recording दिखा रहे हो, and when we actually use it, it does not work. So those kind of things as well happen. But how to solve those things? Again, we have this code quality report which I was mentioning. Like if you develop something, but what is the proof that what is being done at the backend is of good quality? So for that we do have our own tool called Code Grip. So there we share all this load, like very detailed code analysis report, which we share with every sprint delivery we are doing. Every time we are delivering sprint mail, this is also part of it, right? Then what are the test cases is being checked by the the QA and the team, so that those also we share. In fact, there are other things as well. Like, all the devs we are also using DevSecOps, all the tools like just pen testing, all those. So those also report we have it. We also share with while we are setting the sprint.
Yeah. And the quality side, again, it's part of trust, right? If you're telling them we built the product and sometimes it's not working or something, but if you're sending these reports to them well in advance in the sprint, for example, the security report, the cloud infrastructure audit report, code quality report, right? That gives some kind of a trust to them. Okay, my people are writing a good quality code, right? Maybe he's a non-technical or technical, doesn't matter because we're anyway genuinely sending those reports out. It is very low level. What kind of issues, security issues, if it has open, right? And even the open source. For example, we have automated using our tool that anybody, because every developer downloads something from Git, NPM, or whatnot, right? But what is this? They might not see the license as well. What is the guarantee that they are using actual Apache 2 or maybe anything which might Apache 2 is fine, but if anything that impacts their in long run, so that gets flagged as well. So that should be automated, but it should be solved at the root cause, as I mentioned at the start, right? It should not be specific to project. It should be at the company level. We should be solving it. That's where we are automation in place.
And again, that checklist we had like readiness checklist that also contains for developer as well, like what you're supposed to do. Let's say like we for healthcare security, like we have to be HIPAA compliant or any like software or something. We are using tools like Venta or something. After those analysis, we understood that these are the gaps. Then we understood that ye jo library user that is like that should not be used. So we have to do a lot of rework. So now we have that like that framework or that list. So actually we can use it. So that also helps in building trust. Right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I see that you're front loading a lot of strategy planning prior to all of the execution of your tasks. How much of the time you actually spend into all of this is built to the client? How much of the time you're absorbing?
Build to the client because these are all automated.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. The time that goes into the automation and building out the processes,
we already observed.
You already observed.
Because this is now like at a company level, we think we need this. For example, a code green, right? It's automated code quality tool. So whenever you write something, it gets checked at every company. It gives security rating,
So you're front loading the effort,
Yeah,
you're
that is-
absorbing that cost, you're creating that entire framework for you to be able to execute
Yes.
a
It's
project.
not charged to the customer.
Okay, so then what happens in cases where your project or the solution you're building does not follow this framework?
What does not follow or does not come under this?
Whatever, I mean, suppose
So
there are companies that build bespoke solutions, right? Each solution you build, the architecture is different. The build may be different, the process might be different. So what do you do in that?
yeah, so basically anyways, these things we follow at our end. For example, a customer tells us, okay, I want to use Sonar for code quality, not code green. We anyways do this. And the Sonar, we again go on top of it. It's again, customized needs are there. Maybe we follow some Kubernetes architecture for specific project. But customer says, no, I want serverless. That is fine. But then we follow that. At the end of the day, the things that are what we are making is common. And there's kind of horizontal to any project. Regardless of the type of the project. Code quality is needed, the QA test reports are needed, security rating is needed, right? Whatever we are mentioning is a kind of a common to it. And these will be customized to the specific to the customer. Some customer might
And say like,
these are the KPIs of project manager as well. You have to do this. There is no other option.
yes. Yeah, so again, what kind of validation we are doing? So one thing we do is like we add, experts of the field that actually helps. So again, to answer your problem that you were mentioning, so sometimes again, if there is expert, they can try to speed up those challenges R&D, right? So that is one thing. Another very, very important, like again, very unique thing we do is like, so we have, like for every employee, we have a variable, and those variables are based on the goals we give to them. It's not like, so we basically what we give something learning, like you learn do this thing or do that, right? Or sometimes we put in a goal, let's say, like earlier I showed that red dot, right? So then we already identified these are going to be possible R&D thing or risk, right? So what we do, we ask other team members, you take these as a goal of your, goals are like, there are additional work, like again, those are not part of the regular thing, right? So we ask them to do those things there. So in like, it has been able to reduce those efforts in many processes. So that we've been trying to do. Again, like updating boilerplates and creating POCs for client and doing some R&D which are like blocker for other team members. Those are we try to push into those goals that actually helps in so many ways.
Being in healthcare again, this is a vast domain. So we recently started investing in healthcare SMEs as well. One of them is here. So what we are trying to this is again kind of not bidding to the customer, right? So we're trying to see what are the additional areas of value that we can add to the customer apart from what they are doing. So that is where again new work can come, but again customer will know, okay, these guys are experts, so they know what they're talking about. This is again kind of adding something in their subconscious mind. Okay, these guys knows what they're talking about. These guys know about healthcare or domain. And what Arun mentioned, every employee of ours has a variable. Whether it's a fresher, 5-year guy, 10-year guy, there is a variable and there are goals attached. That's when the Arun's jobs come. He tracks those every employee's goals, make sure that happens on the time, and then again these are not something that company goals, but these are something their own individual but attached to the company. And so the both win-win we are trying to find, and they get it's not like they will lose that. It's not the variable is not company's performance; it's their own it's in their own individual hands.
Expect to prepare some of the solutions. Again, there are a lot of things here. So we conducted like hackathon and there also, we were able to create so many solutions later which are helpful. In fact, we are using using in our day-to-day thing as well. So those also are helpful. Then this miss collaborative approach I was talking about. So again, like most of the time you are into the development, you are just looking for delivery only, but you're not thinking of the client, what is client doing all. So for that, what we have started doing, like we increase our touch points. How many times you connect with the client. So we do regular MDR, QBR, we connect with them and try to understand what is happening in their end.
So yeah, MBR mostly my head of delivery does, or Arun does, and then QBRs, maybe one of us, Ayush joins along with delivery guys. We present what has been done, what are the opportunities, what are the gaps, and that helps actually. Most important part is the in-person meetings. We are going to again, we learned this recently, but we are going to invest a lot in this in coming years. That every person who is again like on delivery side, should meet persons. Every customer we should meet. That is the biggest takeaway I suggest for every entrepreneur. And that adds a different, like that takes a trust to the different level. Okay, either ask him to come or you should fly, whatever it may be. But you should spend time with the customer.
Yeah, so these are few focus with the clients, Ayush and Pravin.
One of my head of delivery, which is actually this is the kind of yesterday's photo only.
Yeah, these are the executive side. Now the final is anyone has any
Questions around execution or maybe any other challenges or any way like you guys are solving differently, would love to learn.
so again the closure, last but not least, yeah. So again there is a cycle after closure. You want to get more business, so that also we have like. So very first challenge we have like handover, like most of it happen like you have done with the project development, but how to hand over things, right? And what kind of problem like occurs? Maybe we can discuss. Like so, one is like handovering the things. Then post launch support expectations. Sometimes clients has some other ideas only. What is the future roadmap? That also is not very clear. And again, you do ask for like some testimonial and all those, but again, client is not very open to share their names and all those. So those challenges also there. So how we have done it, right? So again, handovering, again I already mentioned, so things are going to be connected. So in the very initial phase, we had everything listed, like we are maintaining the documents, we are maintaining all the everything, and we know what we're supposed to do. So it becomes easy to hand over and all those things, right? Then on the post-launch support, so again, it's not only about launch, we also believe in landing. We don't just want to push them, like launch them and they land anywhere, we don't do that. So for that, we do have support, like we provide free support as well in some cases. And then apart from those support, there are few techniques, methods we suggest them to optimize things. Let's say once you are into the production, you want to like downsize your non-prod or optimize the non-prod, which are not going to use that much. Those kind of methods we suggest. Like there are other ways as well. Then yeah, this could be very important, like future roadmap, right? So throughout the process, beginning from the initiation planning, we keep collecting what are the new things, right? The CR backlog basically we keep creating. And again, every whenever we are meeting with the client or anywhere we are having those discussion, we try to keep bringing these things, and all those things, and then at the end we hope that they agree to this and we get to this. Then this, so again there have been this reluctance from the client that they don't allow us to use their case studies publicly or their name publicly. Those kind of challenges are so weird. So we started doing like co-marketing activities. Maybe Pravin and Ayush can.
Yeah, so basically again, this is what testimonial marketing, maybe we are telling them, maybe we want to use your case study publicly, then sometimes that is scheduled. Before that, then what we're trying to do, again, throughout the journey to build that trust between each person. But again, then we are trying, our marketing team now is mostly focusing on how we can do a webinar together, that this is a product we're launching, then that brings another level of trust. Right? Then now anyways they're going publicly, but now, because now that there is something for that in that. Right? Second, anything around events or something, we're trying to see how we can co-market together, go together, that also helps us. And then eventually testimonial is comes. You don't need to ask that. That is a kind of, I think, automatically, we're getting that.
And again,
we started recently again. This is the learning. We haven't done that in the past.
And yeah, in this support thing, so I I'm sure that many of you face this thing, like once everything's done, client is expecting you are available for them and doing free for them. That does not happen. So we do have free support period, like say a month, but depends on the client. But again, in the initiation on the process side only, they only mentioned that once we are delivering everything, this will be a free support period. After then, we have a maintenance.
Again, 2 years back, we were not any customer was giving the support, right? But kind of even monthly, some kind of a paid support. So in MSA itself, we started adding consciously that okay, this is the support. We'll take later. Just but giving in their mind thought that okay, this is there. And after launch, we are telling okay, let's start with this support period, which we discussed in the past, which is and most of the time, like because they're going live, they have that fear that okay, I need someone. That happens. That is kind of small revenue stream we should also do.
Yes. So yeah, with this, I think we close the project and hopefully get a new initiation phase and everything. Right.
Yeah, throughout the journey, again, it's a matter of creating that trust, bonding with the customer, eventually helping them find out ways to sell the cost. One of the example is that they told, okay, I finished my money, right, but I have a lot of work to do. And we find out ways, okay, give us a reference, right? You know us, we build a good product together. And then we can help you in building the future sprints of things, right? That also works.
So again, these are the results you can see, like we have a whole YouTube channel there. Our happy clients have given their testimonials in writing and in video form as well. So that helps, like as a company, as an individual, as a team member as well. It is very encouraging. So that has increased actually. Okay, and then so again, you saw like lot of solution we mentioned that we are doing this, that. So these are the actual like all the solutions we get.
Eventually, these are the again like we did some command line things, we did very including.
And we were doing for years, not like
just
one.
Different solution we built over the years, like, and then we now like in a stage of we don't want to use different solutions. We're now going to one solution altogether. We're building almost like that is what we built over the years.
So when you were asking that we are taking the burden of everything, right? So basically, we don't let anyone on the bench. We have ideas, we keep building things. So that's how we are utilizing our resources. And like sometimes clients give some ideas, sometimes we have our own challenges and we try to build the solution. So these are all we have built. So code grip is that code analysis tool you saw, which shows all the detailed analysis.
We had some paid customers came to inbound.
Secure Spirit is about that creating that infra automation, automating that infra creation. That is that. JCD Access is setting up that automation pipeline via portal. And we Copilot, which I was mentioning, that's it's a plugin actually for that. FSense is one of that you can create a user story using the wireframe and acceptance criteria. So all these solutions are there, but now we are putting everything in one place, which is called Epico. So everything is available apart from the other things as well.
Onboarded a few of our clients, started using test. Of course, we continue adding new things. But that was the kind of a journey we had, and I've been lucky because there are a couple of good guys like Arun and Vish. They whatever like bench we had, they utilized it in a perfect manner, like building these things. That is one of the dilemma I found in founders that want to do the I think that somehow we got the problems and solved it. Today, like long way to go. There are a lot of things we want to do, and yeah, any questions are
looking to monetize this?
yeah, that is the plan, but not the goal. But of course, we are there are some interest in some few founders actually. They asked us. Maybe in January we are going in a SaaS route, so that is one of the.
Regarding that Copilot, is it a hosted solution or you are
hosted and out?
So you have our own LLM running on your server.
Yeah, and we built our own plugin for Visual Studio.
So we start with that machine, so it is hosted there as well. It is running, you can see.
Currently, we are moving to AWS cloud, but however, again, like when we go with the SaaS, because every customer has their own need, own code base, so they can put their LLM on their products, connect. So that is the goal.
So after this recent AI, advancement, how much productivity improvement, in a key?
No, we see like for example efficiency, right? What we did. So initially, even we had a KPI for a project manager that you have to write an acceptance criteria in very detailed manner. Right? We even have a templates, but still like many of it not doing it. Now that layer to AI we are automating it, they have to just validate. Even with on validation, we had कि बाबा इसने सही में validate किया है, just push button दबाया वो जीरा में चला गया. That comparison also we are doing कि ये कुछ मार्क लगा रहा है. That level of analysis we are trying to add. Also QA test cases and everything.
With the co-pilot, I was giving an example. So let's say any new developer has to onboard a new project. So just putting a command, it can put all the details of the project, so they can easily understand. Obviously, they have to put some time and all, but it will reduce.
Optimization is there. It's hard to measure, to be honest, but it's a lot of things we're seeing. Because, for example, in healthcare, simplest example, we do EHR integration or any software integration. Right? We had built it multiple times. Okay, we had built solution. Now, if some developer search for it, it's searching within our repository and then give us the solution. It's kind of like Stack or private Stack or like private meeting.
I have a question. Yeah. So, considering that you have run the project on the basis of the process, right? So, in that scenario, post getting the project, could you ever check with the customer what was the reason why the project was awarded to you?
And that was in the sales process. So, of course, they told like one is of course the experience and the trust they, because the case study is how you bring that domain knowledge itself sets you apart. Right? Because we are in specific again in healthcare. If customer is coming to us and they're expecting something, these guys know healthcare or not, that helps because we are actually focusing on one domain. Right? We're not telling we are like jack of all.
And there is one more thing that which I learned from Ayush. So we are very honest about it. If we can't do this, we won't, like manipulate or like what your time it takes. We will simply on their page we can say it. Okay, this cannot be done in their expectations.
Was there a situation where you would be an L4 or an L3 but still you would win the project?
Maybe because of this, what I said, like we were very honest about it. One of the project like I forgot the name of that Lofty. In that case, we told them that we cannot. They have already built the project. We have to start putting they already code and everything. It is always challenging to work on some other code, right? But we honestly told them that it will take time. If you want to give us,
yeah, basically again as a founder dilemma is कि बाबा किसी का कोई project measurement होता है, कोई कहीं से बना के लाता है and then से क्या ये नहीं हो रहा है तुम बना.
Rescue project.
Exactly. Then how we can tell existing code base will take time. That is very hard to like educate. So these tools actually help us. Like recent example is that Arun has quickly took that source code from multiple repositories, created a detailed report to Copilot, and told him ये problems है, like ये security issues है, ये maintenance issues है. These are the standard not followed. Very detailed documents, and build the trust. Then he understood, okay, there is a problem. Let's build it from scratch. So that should come through, like these proofs, not just text to talks. So that actually we're trying to solve.
So, considering everything that you explained, the framework, the process, and the title of the talk today, how does this actually relate to building trust? I would like to know a little bit more. I mean, we can infer it, but it's important for you guys to state it.
Right. To do that. So,
hello. Yeah. So primarily, like I was mentioning, the volume is key. So like I was mentioning at the start, like taking an example of a restaurant, serving food is just a fundamental thing which everybody would do. Similarly, in IT services, what happens is that, building code or everybody has experts, everybody going to the market would say that expert people are available here. So that does not have any dopamine effect to anybody today. You cannot put a board saying that we have expert developers and people would come. So the idea is, like even talking about trust, like again, I'd say out of 10, 8 companies would have trust written somewhere on the website saying that we are a trustworthy partner, we are very trustworthy to you or will do the job and everything. But how do you bring it to action? So that is the whole premise of things that we're discussing, and we try to solve it more by putting the talk into action. So rather than saying that we are using the words, rather in fact we today going to market, we would avoid saying these words because we know that everybody says that basically. We would rather talk about one, two, or all the parts of it and saying that this is how we manage a project. Now, just like you said, the latent word as in trust or trustworthiness or transparency would come as an effect of all of this. So that was the idea that we were sharing, that like going back, what we would want you guys could be that one, two, or all of them, because we have been transparent to share all the different things we are doing. You could basically take it to your processes. So in fact, that was one of the slides or my ask, that what would be the three things, for example, you would like to apply in your company or your team, that let's do these three things, because some of them may not even require to build that whole software and everything. This was just a way that after 2 years we ended up building all of this. But some of the things can start in fact right away, that maybe like having a project checklist, or maybe having let's say a quick check-in with the customer. So they may not even require any sort of software. So I don't want you to start now building for next 2 years, but more like the idea was that this is how we figured out that these are the various touch points at every stage and for every different role. So there are some touch points for me, some touch points for Pravin, some touch points for Arun, or other developers in the team. So that is the idea, like how do we orchestrate it together and be able to eventually become that trusted partner.
Yeah, trust waiting can't be built overnight. It has to be part of the whole journey.
But glad you asked. Thank you.
Because for us, what happens is,
let's say you have your favorite restaurant, you have been there say 10 times. On the 11th visit, for example, you found a fly in the soup. Now tell me your honest answer. Maybe let me ask you or anybody else also. But let's say, how many of you would say, okay, I'll go the 12th time, and how many would say not go 12th time? So raise of hands. Like how many would say it's okay, let's do the 12th times?
with food, it's a very difficult
No, in fact, IT software, the person has his life online even more. Because it's their whole career, probably, for most of the customers, all of us are having. It's their whole life money or his own life promotion or whatever he wants to do, like working with you, for example. So what I mean to say is that, you would say, okay, I'll give another chance. My follow-up question would be, how about a fly came in the soup this time and maybe 12th visit went well and 13th visit had a mouse running in the restaurant. So again, two or three things that I want to pull from this example is that one with the trust, maybe you'll give a second chance, but not the third. Second, howsoever good the owner could be, these things have to be managed, orchestrated eventually by the owner along with the team. So the owner has best of the principles. Maybe like myself giving big talk on the Saturday that this is how we manage quality. But unless it is getting done on a day-to-day basis by the team that is involved, because I or any owner, let's say in a restaurant again, cannot be serving food on each table. Right. So how do you basically make it a replicable, scalable way that there's just no other way to look into. So those things as founders, as leaders, how we can make it possible. This is what it comes down to.
Yeah, you're like this.
Because I could give that nice presentation every week to my team. Okay, guys, we'll do good quality. But unless I've given them the tools to run it or to be able to do it without making them work 20% extra just to manage quality, there are chances like every way, like not even like 50%, but I'd say 100%, they cannot do it.
You mentioned that okay, the customer just want product to be working, you work in the state. That's true. But then I just do a recent example where one of the startups that built the product, and he agrees he was a marketing. He doesn't need to worry about code, but we still did it. And he got an investor. He was very famous, right? And then he wanted third-party audit. Now in that audit, everything comes good, came good, right? Eventually, it happened. That brought the trust, right? For the
comes to
eventually, that guy doesn't need to worry about the code. Right? He never asked about it. Honestly, we said. But then audit, he feels that okay, everything is good. That builds a trust.
So just a couple of last ending slides, I would say. So first checkpoint is किसी का expression ये है क्या? Well, that's fine because it's okay. You know, we probably, like I said, like 2-3 साल का पूरा work we just put into like a 1 hour session. So you know, like what I would need is your help. Maybe a few of the volunteers can just share probably one of the biggest takeaway. You know, just to share with everybody. For you, what was the biggest takeaway, or what did you understand? That would be
what you go and maybe apply that one thing. That is what you would love to hear.
I would say implementing a process results in a predictable outcome.
Predictable.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, right. No, definitely. Okay,
For
anybody else?
me, it is like the touch points, even with the weekly status reports as well as a touch point kind of thing, where customers get to know more of the things that are already happening. Even though we are doing good, but if you are not telling that to the customer, then it is like that doesn't make sense, right? So for me, it's like even more things I can be transparent about, like share with you.
In fact, that reminds me that weekly touch point was something was like right. So we discussed and you know that made a lot of difference while taking not more than 5 minutes. In fact, now we've automated, so it's just a abstract from the project management tool going automatically. But that made a lot of difference because, like Arun was mentioning, that you know because many times it happens that customer wakes up one day and then he's like, "Arey, kara tha, nahi kara tha, what happened in the project," and so on. So you have this footprint already created that you could just stay calm and say, "Okay, let's do this. Just search for this weekly status report. You'll get 10 emails of the last 10 weeks. You can just open it." And now this proves that, you know, one thing eventually, you know, in these situations, you have to just prove that it is all in front. Now just study these. Let us know whether you had any problem or why didn't you reply back earlier, because these emails are always going.
And there will be such kind of customers. It's not like every customer is good. Right? Even if you try how many times you try to build that trust or touch points, still there will be 20% of the customers they come back and say no, this is not acceptable.
They won't even open up and read the reports we send.
That happens a lot. Okay, it's like that many of them would not open, but when that D-Day comes, this is the most useful tool you have in your defense. Anybody else?
I have a question. Yeah. So, at what point do you think it's core engineering versus like if there are low budget plans, people want to achieve things in a very low budget. Sometimes you try to plan the plan and achieve the budget low. Do you have a certain budget thinking? Like if the project is below this much value, I will not use this, or maybe just core engineering for this plan.
So my version of it, and maybe Pravin can also share, but my version of it would be that the moment you create deviations around process, you know, you lose the whole thing, basically. So for us now, it is always educate the customer on the importance, and like you know, we were discussing that sometimes you may end up, you know, like putting your own money in the form of like, you know, the implementing the process or the workload required, but you want to do it because again, if you do it for 3, you do not do it for 2. Not only like you know, it is not good for the customer, but for your internal team also. Like, how would you again? Why a restaurant is like 5 times it runs the process, but 2 times which we gonna get in. So it does not create right.
It is interesting that you mentioned restaurant because I've heard the same thing repackaged as something called the subway process.
Yeah, subway process.
You go and choose your bread, choose your vegetables, choose your sauce, and you're ready to check out. So that's it. You have 4 steps instead of having a very complex process, and that sort of simplifies delivery.
Right. But you cannot, you know, have like if you want to scale like Subway, you cannot have that half stores follow 2 processes, half stores follow 4 processes, and so on. So that's
leveraging your own team itself.
You have to reduce that kind of work.
And for scale, you have to start saying no also.
Yes.
No, I mean like over engineering side, this is not over engineering, it's all automation. So it's pretty easy. Like for us, maybe it seems like a lot of work, but it is
because it's no more.
Yeah. Thank you.
Challenge from the internal sector. We are now talking more from the customer. For all these process production.
Good question.
It's going to be a challenge for at the end of the day, the employees to get off of it. So, how did you overcome it, and what was the timeline that you took to see certain fruits of everything?
Yeah, it took time, of course. Even you mentioned, right? Every employee, even an engineer, has a variable, right? So it took some time to educate them. And a couple of years back, we started that. Earlier, only leadership has. But then it also took time, and also it took time to tell them, okay, the code quality has to be there, right? So again, it's not like that they have to do anything extra. It's more about telling, okay, this is the wrong thing. If you want to improve as an engineer, you should solve it, right? And it is giving everything what you need. It's not like something we're asking out of the project, right? It's within your scope. It's just about education and communication.
Because being from a development, it's more like allow me time to code better rather than start giving. I of course understand.
Yeah, this is also part of the job. Outside.
And that's why you want to.
That sprint zero period. So we are trying to do as much as again, like no one can be perfect, right? But we're trying to reduce those rework or like unknown things and all. So and again, after that estimation is done, you saw that we are asking for a very low level data, right? So after that expectation, like, yeah, you have like estimated. Now you do any of your tasks on you. On paper, we expect you estimated, so you should be able to do in time, and you should be able to be free for yourself. And then you can do whatever you want to. And then we are pushing it to variable, you can do the scores and all those things, which are again part of the project and conclusion. So that root cause is around that understanding and planning, I would say.
Well, just to add to this, while building all of this took 2 to 3 years, also on the people side, it took 2 or 3 appraisal cycles. We set some goals, and people did not do it. So next time we got hold of them, like, why are we not doing? Because this is how we do. Then there was some, betterment. But then next cycle we were able to, put that further because we were also learning. And people side things, of course, you have to manage when you are building some process.
Out of everything, if there's one thing you can say had the most impact, what would that be?
We all three could have different versions, I would think, because me being more on the customer side, I'd say more around, like for me, especially like again, talking with the customer on this business side and so on. My most important would be like one, clearing the vision which we started with, that clearing the vision with the team, with the customer, and educating them in the right sense that this is how we do it, because then only we can get success. So that was.
Is that what the customer has appreciated most about the process?
As per my conversation, as I said, the customer would also end up having different flavors of conversations with everybody. So,
if someone were to take away this in terms of what to do, and they would only implement one part of that.
I say this, meet the customer wherever it is.
And then I have to say like transparency. So in both cases, like we are very transparent what is happening for the customer, for the development team. Again.
And saying no is important equally. So I think we still get customers who don't want all this process. You have to find that reasonable balance. I can understand you. Maybe you would say, okay, I cannot maybe do away with these frills. Maybe some customer says that frills, for example. But sometimes you have to say no to such customers, saying that frill nahi ho payega, humse nahi ho payega. Okay. Yes.
So, lot of times, sometimes that scope is and for that, our PRD and SRS comes into the play.
This is what we have discussed earlier, and this is the delivery. But then, in order to make the detailed SRS or PRD, it takes some amount of time. And sales cycle always have an issue that give timelines, give cost much earlier. What you just said in sprint zero, it's after the project is onboarded and then you detailed plan. But I think that falls under T&M category. In fixed bid, we have to give estimates, we have to give timelines earlier. So how do you?
We have research team there. Technology team also comes into the picture. Giving those estimates or range access to validate the customer and then we go to India, to go there. If the requirement is very much, if not, then we go into the first small engagement of the design.
Discovery
and design. So
So we are also
charge
trying
for
to
it.
figure out how some companies give that, because we are still not able to figure, like, without understanding how, like sometimes customer would come, they give me code because I already have 2 codes coming, someone is making for this much, someone is making for this much, and all they have is one paragraph, let's say build this thing. So we are also, like, our sales team also questions us that why can't we give, and we also ask the same thing. But no, how companies do that, I don't really know.
If just the salespeople are running the deal, then I think it might be.
Like Pravin's I think most used answer in that is, then you can, if you can give good, then you can also put. That's what he does to the salesperson. That if you can make up something, maybe you can make up code also, because we don't see any of it.
Yeah, maybe we would love to hear how you guys are solving it. On the customer side, on the sales side, some customer comes with an idea.
They say we'll only do discovery once you give us code. So how do you handle that? Because we have not been able to.
We have to solve it perfectly.
You take a chance, that's it. It's a best guess. There's no other way. I mean, how important is it getting the customer?
Based on the customer, yes.
Throw a number, get the job.
But then
if you lose in that, figure out a way to observe the hours later on.
It depends on the risk factor, how much bigger the project, and also the customer. Also, we do like kind of.
If your discovery is going to be 500 hours, then you're not going to do it.
Yes.
See, we have seen both flavors in the sense that some of such leads have also appreciated that you were the first one who told me that we need to do this, so it was good. And we have also seen we lost deals where customers said that why are you not able to give a code? You told you are expert, you should be knowing, and others are able to give me. So I'm going with someone who gave. So we say all the best.
Right. We saw that some of those customers came back after that. They didn't
It's not a domain that you are. It's a domain of yours. It's a bespoke solution, and I'm not a visionary guy coming and saying that I want to build something that bespoke, again engage in something. But if it is something that you've built in the past, now you know how to repeat the whole process. So educating a sales team on bringing the same kind of project where we could utilize our code base that has been what is something that we have done.
One thing I would like to suggest, what I've seen is one of my customers also worked with the Ukrainian company like us. Okay? So one good thing they follow the Ukrainian guys is that they created out of, like, you already have these processes, but they have a different process. Is they create an executive summary every 2 weeks or every month, and they send it to the executives of the company, because whatever happens in the ground level, like probably what you are delivering, only the manager is saying it, but at the top, like the decision makers are at the top. Like most of the time, founders are like not technical founders, maybe you and me, they are more like sales, and almost all of the tech companies founder, and even though they come from a tech background, they are really involved in sales. So they don't have time to go through all the things that you go. So I think creating an executive summary based on already have, maybe you can, and Pravin is expert, so we could probably use AI Copilot or whatever, and just check all the things that you already done and put it in an executive summary and send it to the founder. Hey, this is what we have done, and that is something that my other, like, because I work with a client who did work with Ukrainian plus us, that is the only thing he said that he liked about them and not us, because we never sent those to them. And he was like expecting as a by default. We never knew that something like this exists. So
it reminds me of that example that even if you are selling toys, the customer is not the child. That's right. You have to sell it to the parents. So while you are daily making the other team's developers happy, unless the buy-in is coming from the CEO later, whenever such a situation happens, you cannot.
Most of the times, we are doing developers, the organizers are speaking to VP of engineering, if it is a small startup. Or if if they are only speaking to a developer. But by sending this to the decision makers who actually got you in the company in the first place, I think that helps you grow and expand.
So we do QB actually, but yeah, so monthly testing. Even they don't reply, I think doesn't matter.
Yeah,
There is something we're adding that.
it's a lot of work because we don't have this process.
Right.
So we have to write
It's not a lot of work.
Have you ever had a project in which the customer demanded that you be invested in the outcome of their business objectives, which were linked to the software that we developed?
Not as the software, but we do in fact deals where a part of the payment could be on the outcome of the project. As a company we do basically, like where you look at again the cost, just like talking about this in the earlier conversation, that you take some risk for the higher outcome, while especially for startups, like maybe keeping the initial burn low so that we can get started. And
We were not doing that here, but now we're confident that we can deliver.
so those outcomes could be a business outcome that okay, we get funded, we pay you more. The KPI outcome, which could be that okay, if you stick to the schedule, you get a 5% higher cost.
Yeah, we do have few customers. But of course, if something is on customer side, they need to bring investor or sales side, and it is not in our hand. In that time, we also expect upside. We take that risk.
The service industry is so crowded, finding a differentiator is so difficult these days because everyone is offering exactly the same service.
Yeah, that's all.
Right?
So for that, going niche is helpful.
Any other takeaway, anybody?
So does it ever happen that client tell you that if there's any bug and that leads to their business loss, and you might have to cover that loss? Like any kind of agreement they ask?
Loss, maybe they lost a customer or something.
Their server goes down for hours because of pure bug. Like recently, this happened. All airlines.
But there are insurance companies with whom you can get insured, or the client can get insured. That if anything goes down from this company's work, maybe a bug or something.
Actually, SLAs are there.
Yeah, so insurance companies do insure such kind of losses. And like in my European contract, it is required to have that kind of an insurance.
Professional life.
At least for that. Yeah.
So we can have that insurance like as well. Because in healthcare also there is a compliance risk. So if something goes wrong, not only server down, but even the data get PHI data get leaked. That is also kind of a liability. They have hefty funds.
So that reminds me, one of the features we are doing now is again, you have a customer who has like you have deployed 10 people on that project. Now, how do we make sure that all these 10 people have, let's say, taken their NDA seriously or employment agreement seriously and so on? If some PHI leaks happen, for example. So how do you show that you have taken the required safeguards? So what we have done is, as part of customer onboarding, as soon as the team gets onboarded to the project, just like we have like an interface where, like you sign up on Gmail for the first time, an agreement will come up and you say, I agree. Similarly, we are not yet deployed, actually we're building that feature, that every time new developers get added to a project or new project gets started and people are seeing it for the first time, they have to basically like say, I agree to this, which goes into the record so that, manage that risk.
It's more about just adding this.
Like DA in the health term.
Just adding in the subconscious mind कि बाबा developer को ये पता है अभी प्रोजेक्ट ये मुझे नहीं करना.
डेवलपर कभी कोई कोड बेस डेटाबेस लेके भागा है?
नहीं अभी तक तो.
In my previous company, there was one guy. He was DevOps guy. उसमें मतलब he was doing some research R&D on GitHub, push automating CI/CD something. Then he pushed the code to GitHub.com in a public domain. The full code base and everything. And after 2 months, the customer found out some through AI tools and some through agencies that your code base is already there, like in public domain. And then there were some risks, and I was an employer during that time, so there were some contracts happened more like of the security and insurance and everything. So it happened like the private full code base. It happened happens more than you think.
Yeah. People do not find it out, but yeah.
AWS का इतना access keys जितना leak होता है ना, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं होता है ना. So many instances where S3 bucket access key got leaked.
No, actually they have the scanner.
They have scanner.
We scan and send the email.
They instantly send an email if it gets leaked. Now, earlier it was not. Yes.
No, that's actually AWS is that doing with the heater.
Right.
That alert is helping it.
No, but that's the damage is already done. ना the customer बोलेगा अरे तुमने तो मेरी keys डाल दी किसने यूज किया बिल पड़ गया.
Next, companies के लिए अच्छा है, अपने लिए अच्छा नहीं है.
Any other things?
What is the average time you take when creating the task? You take out the task and then you decide what is the average time you take?
Maybe
What is the average time you take? Just to know.
I am product based, so
it's same, right? It's someone else's product we're building.
So what is your average time?
I am building myself,
Okay.
so I don't I decide myself
Okay.
right from the time. If you talk about speed, so I have some freelancing coming in. So I have what time I will do it from my perspective. So I like to understand your perspective, like when you decide, because creating a task, project can be very quick, right? But when we talk about can be at least small. I may not understand the features that may come afterwards, right? But when you see you detail of the task, there will be many tasks that you may say we can add later, but you have to know at that point. So
So sprint planning we do that.
yeah,
Sprint planning we spend whole day.
yeah.
Earlier. Now to like we're generating user stories, acceptance pattern, test cases within a minute now. So that is actually just getting validated by the PM on the scrum.
Even when you talk to a customer,
So that is
are
how
your clients? So how much time do you take?
No, that's a 1 to 2 hour call that we
That
have. So every sprint planning we do. So we go through that, we make sure okay, this is what is ready and you are agreeing to this or you need to change. You need to change because the designs and wireframes are already done. So that freeze is already happening because he has already tested that wireframes in the focus group. So no more changes. It's more about the business logic or small validation.
yeah, but on budget for startup, I have a strict budget, right? And some tasks get ready later, some can be done now. So do you like
So we
consider that?
giving a data breakdown what Arun is doing. But some rule is that every person
Some standards that we set as a project leader are much more higher than what our project members are expecting to do. So in that case, when some things don't get enough satisfactory for us, so sometimes for me it ends up that I end up doing the depth of the gap. So in these cases, how do you manage such things? How do you at least get that thing from your project member or anything else?
So when a new employee gets hired, they go through some training. Okay, so they know what standards we follow. Maybe even the domain knowledge. Right? So we have training material already created. So they go through that internally. It's a 1 to 2 year process. So they have to do that. It's part of it. We learned that from one of the customers. When they onboard any employee, they like had a very detailed process. Try to understand why they do it. The VP of engineering will help them in later execution stage. And now employees aware of that, what they are doing, what exactly is the problem, what are the compliance pains, right? Coding standard, whatever. But that training has to be done.
And one more thing as well, like you should be very much aware how much your team
Oh, right.
You cannot be like this. You have to understand like you have to clear and all of that to make sure yourself that they understand. So that's why we have a low level breakdown and detail. So that
The low level breakdown gives your mind the chance to go deeper. Otherwise, at high level, everybody can give, okay, ये charging लेगा, क्यों लेगा, तुम ये charging आए कैसे, मुझे बता. That is the question we should be asking.
इसके लिए वो 2-3 एपिसोड साइकिल है.
I mean, just sharing because that's something we were able to fix gradually. ये बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम थी. Everybody is on our web 50,000 foot. ये चाहते हैं 2 दिन estimate ऐसे होते हैं.
But like when you drill down to 2 hours level, उसमें estimate करना है, task भी identify करना है, also a difficult challenge, right? Because one story can be of somebody said 4 days, let's say. Now then it is 2 hours, which is 8 hours, like 4 days into 4, 16
मैं वही बोल रहा है 2 दिन का प्लानिंग में ज्यादा डाल दो ताकि वीक से स्प्रिंट डिले हो जाता हो
वो मैं टास्क every sprint this much amount of time developer are taking to identify the task, right?
लेकिन वही ना वो फिर नेचुरल हो जाता है. That's the process. That's how you start things.
So in sprint 0 we do lot of work there only, but then when the sprint starts, so there again the sprint planning and
sprint will have this because this task order is sprint 0 का part है.
Sprint 0 is nothing once only. So there only we are going into low level detail and everything. But every sprint when we're starting, then again we do a retro and
to our level we do it sprint. No, but I have actually like the project length. Let's suppose it is going for all for years. So in sprint release, we identify any sprint, right? So every sprint will have its own part, or maybe two sprints earlier you have to decide the task, right? So n plus 2 people are spending that much amount of time, right?
But again, when we also prioritize what should we take.
But if you see that, the sprint plan is sprint का first day होता है, half day goes in that. But 2 hours की पूरी दिन या ज़्यादा दिन लगेगा. नहीं. Maybe after the process is like.
So do you guys use also consultants in delivering a project and
No outside consultant. क्योंकि हमारे प्रोसेस को कोई और यूज नहीं कर सकता. That particular thing. So client inside बाहर का कोई बंदा मतलब either they join and they get trained to run it. Otherwise nobody outside.
Consultants can be a part of it if they because again everything is not needed for all the projects. We told 5-6 different things. Some of the projects don't use all that five. We just have to read it. I mean, like, can be added to the project easily, more on time.
What he needs maybe a domain expert.
Yeah,
domain expert or maybe you have collaborations because I think you have to scale up and number of things, right? And that doesn't happen. I don't know what's the ticket size of the project that you do it, but then I think we need it. And if that you guys don't do it, so I don't have a follow-up question. Otherwise, the follow-up question is to expose that also to the customer. Consultants to the customer customers or you have a technology partner. Because once you have to ramp up, I think it's very difficult to have everything in-house, as a growing organization. If you don't do it, that's a different thing. If you do it, then do you expose that to the customer? So, do you expose that consultant to the customer? Exposing as in you inform the customer about you having a technology partner to deliver it, or you have a consultant who's doing it because having it in-house is a different game because everything is under control. But when you have a technology partner or you have it because there are a lot of contracts wherein outsourcing a third party is not there. Someone has write it, some customer has implicit. It has to be understood by the delivery partner.
Yeah, we do tell customer. We give that transparency or trust to the customer saying that ये बंदा हमारे पास नहीं है. This is a subject matter expert. We cannot afford us. We need to be partner. If customer is telling मुझे एक ही चाहिए तो so we offer that communication. We discuss it.
तो वो भी हम कस्टमर को बोल ही देते हैं कि आप 1 year का तो हायर कर लो.
You also need to be part of the whole or this right. How much time does it take to
matter of creating a UI and accept. It's like very straightforward system. These are more on the internal side of things.
I have a very good example like the board session. So I will give you the little context what it will be like. Why the yeah. So there is this one client which we had in the previous organization 3 years back, exactly at this month of year. So there is this smart Wi-Fi technology comes in the healthcare, and we wanted that particular client is in PHR in the south west of US, PHR, and they wanted to build an identity provider for themselves so that this smart Wi-Fi gets enabled on their PHR. So at that time, they were, I guess, no one knows how this smart Wi-Fi works. And we started to working on 25th of December until 25th of Jan. We only doing the discovery phase, like the sprint 0. We were understanding how this thing works. What are the important contexts like discovery phase? There are some steps inside that, like how these things discovers the like the context is it will allow the third-party applications which will help physicians and the patients to access their data which is on the EHR. So it is very important for that, like the system is very secure. That's the identity provider which is developed using the OpenID based OAuth2 based OpenID connect authorization connection. And for that, we did a whole month's process of understanding each and every step, like what request goes, what response comes, how the scope is given, how this scope is context with respect to the patient access and the provider's access as well. So once that is done, the whole discovery phase, which gave us an idea like, okay, the 6 months time of project was given to us. First month we did the discovery, we got the whole idea, and we make sure that every team member has the exact understanding, like the same, they are on the same page, like how we are going to do it and what is exactly needed to be done. So once that is done, we started the development process, and within 5 months, we are able to complete it. And at the very end, they come up with the change request as well. Like we did two things, and they wanted to do another thing as well. So there is this standalone launch and there's this EHR launch. We did these two things, and there's a third thing they can like, okay, we want to do and bulk export as well. So there's this small change we need to do, but because we did the research for the whole 1 month, we are able to do it in 15 days. And after that, they had the very good trust in us. There are 3, 4 another projects they gave us, like more than $1 million projects. So that was the thing, like what Arun said and Pravin said. The discovery phase is pretty much important. You have to invest in your understanding of the project, what is the problem statement, and making sure that every person on your team understands that problem and how you're going to solve it. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay, anything else? Other thoughts? Any other takeaway? So, coming to kind of the closure slide, I would say. So, some other tips that we talk a lot of tech. So, since I'm taking care more on the business side, so thought to share some business stuff. So, keeping a customer is one of the most simple but overlooked secrets to business and money making success that nobody wants you to know. So that's the whole idea. Like there's more gap available. How to close new customer, how to find customer, how to create your pipeline. But just like they say, cyclists are bad for economy. How many of you know this? Right? So cyclists are bad for economy because they don't get they don't get the risk of accident. They don't have to buy a new cycle every 2, 4, 5 years. They don't go to doctor. So similarly, like I started with that. More money can be made of, more success can be created by just serving the customers in a good, old-fashioned, trustworthy way compared to figuring out every day how to find a new customer. So that's why
you are a cyclist.
So I'm ruining economy for both from the cycle and from customer relations. And start doing the relationship to your customers as building a long-term bond. How we can make them successful always. So as a founder, while again your tech team and your operations team can do the job, as founders, our focus should always be understanding the customer business and how we can help that business. That should be typical conversations that should happen. 5-minute phone calls are simple, separate follow-ups go a long way. So what I've also tried to do as my own pro tip is that sending them please quick email, hey, is everything going fine? And do you want to catch up? That's all. Again, sometimes they may respond, sometimes they do not, but it always gets registered that you are there. So that has made a lot of difference in small effort, 10% effort and 90% result. And okay, I appreciate that. While tech team does their tech, you think about their business because you can't basically really contribute to tech. If they say my API is not working, anyways, I can't do anything. So your work if you are one of the business founders here, then your work is more around understanding what is happening in their industry, what are the companies that are getting successful in their industry. So one, it gives you good lead list to target other companies. Second, you can go back with that same research to your customer, telling them, hey, this is what I observed. Those are being very great conversations. So outside of tech, this is how you can help with them. So that's all it, I think, folks. And this is the last thing that, like I was mentioning, we've started this WhatsApp group called Orbital Shift Community.
places throughout the world, including Bangalore in India and outside San Francisco or any such places. Great things happen when people work